Tonight, we turn to Jerusalem, where Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has delivered one of his most forceful warnings yet, this time directed at Yemen's Houthi rebels. Against the backdrop of mounting regional tensions and an intensifying shadow war across the Middle East, Netanyahu declared that Israel will not stop until every high-ranking Houthi official is eliminated. The announcement came just hours after Israeli forces confirmed they had carried out a targeted strike that killed a senior Houthi leader on Thursday. According to Israel, the operation was not an isolated mission, but part of a broader campaign designed to dismantle the leadership structure of the Houthis, a group that has positioned itself at the center of Iran's expanding influence in the region. In remarks that carried both defiance and finality, Netanyahu did not mince words. He said, "We will get every high-ranking official." The Israeli leader framed the operation as a lethal and unprecedented blow to the Houthis, one that underscored Israel's determination to pursue its adversaries beyond its immediate borders. Netanyahu insisted that this strike was just the beginning, a harbinger of even tougher measures yet to come. Expanding on his government's position, he said, "We will fulfill our promise to hit the Houthi terror regime even harder. In a lethal blow, the Israeli army has eliminated most of the Houthi government members and other senior military personnel. I remind you that an entire coalition of countries has taken action against the Houthi. But what we are doing, no one has done before. And this is just the beginning. We will get every senior official in Sana'a." The choice of words, "no one has done before, and this is just the beginning," signaled that Israel sees itself as not merely participating in a broader coalition effort, but leading it, raising the stakes in a region already fraught with volatility. The attack that triggered Netanyahu's fiery statements took place on Thursday and reportedly targeted a convoy carrying senior Houthi officials in Yemen. Details remain scarce, with Israeli officials providing only limited information, but sources indicate that the strike killed one of the Houthis' top leaders, a figure described as central to both the group's political apparatus and military command. For Israel, this was more than just a tactical victory. It was a symbolic strike designed to send a message not only to the Houthis, but also to their backers in Tehran and across the so-called axis of resistance. Military analysts have noted that by openly acknowledging responsibility for the operation, Israel is breaking with its usual policy of strategic ambiguity. That choice suggests Netanyahu's government wanted to maximize the deterrent effect of the strike, making clear that Israel is prepared to act decisively and publicly, even far from its own borders. The Houthis, who control large parts of northern Yemen, including the capital Sana'a, have long been a thorn in the side of regional powers. Backed by Iran, they have launched missiles and drones against Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and more recently attempted strikes against Israeli territory. In this context, Netanyahu's words resonate beyond Yemen. They are part of a broader Israeli strategy aimed at countering Iran's regional network of proxies, which includes Hezbollah in Lebanon, Shiite militias in Iraq, and Hamas in Gaza. The Houthis' recent involvement in targeting Israeli interests has elevated them in Jerusalem's threat perception, prompting the Israeli leadership to take direct action. In his remarks, Netanyahu made a point of reminding his audience that Israel is not acting alone. He said, "I remind you that an entire coalition of countries acted against them, but we are doing what no one has done before us." This reference highlights the growing international alignment against the Houthis. Over the past year, the United States, the United Kingdom, and Gulf Arab states have coordinated military and intelligence operations to curb Houthi attacks on global shipping lanes in the Red Sea, a vital corridor for international trade. Israel's decision to openly join that coalition effort signals a new level of commitment. While other countries have primarily focused on defensive measures, intercepting drones and missiles, Netanyahu's framing suggests Israel is pursuing an offensive strategy designed to decapitate the Houthis' leadership. The Prime Minister's message was consistent and unyielding. He reiterated his vow multiple times, driving home the point that Israel will not rest until the Houthis' command structure is fully dismantled. Netanyahu said, "But our promise to strike the terrorist regime even harder is being fulfilled. It's definitely being fulfilled." In a fatal blow, the IDF eliminated most of the Houthi government members and other senior officials from the military echelon. I remind you that an entire coalition of countries acted against them, but we are doing what no one has done before us, and this is just the beginning of the blow to the senior officials in Sana'a. We will reach everyone. Such categorical language leaves little room for de-escalation. It also raises questions about how far Israel is prepared to extend its military reach and what consequences this might have for the fragile geopolitical balance across the Middle East. International reaction to Netanyahu's statements has been cautious. While Western allies acknowledge the threat posed by the Houthis, there are concerns that Israel's campaign of targeted killings could inflame the situation further, potentially drawing in other actors and triggering a wider conflict. For Iran, the strikes represent a direct challenge. Tehran has invested heavily in the Houthis as part of its strategy to project power across the region. A sustained Israeli offensive could compel Iran to escalate in other arenas, perhaps through Hezbollah, or by encouraging attacks on Israeli interests worldwide. Meanwhile, humanitarian groups warn that intensified military action in Yemen risks worsening what is already one of the world's most dire humanitarian crises. The Houthis' grip on northern Yemen has long been accompanied by widespread famine, disease, and displacement. Any further destabilization, they argue, could push millions into deeper misery. For Netanyahu personally, the confrontation with the Houthis also carries domestic political significance, facing criticism at home over economic challenges and ongoing conflicts with Hamas and Hezbollah. Projecting strength abroad may help shore up his image as Israel's indispensable security leader. By vowing to reach everyone, Netanyahu is not just sending a message to Sana'a. He is reminding his domestic audience that he remains at the helm of Israel's security apparatus, ready to confront threats wherever they emerge. Yet the risks are considerable. Israel's military is already stretched across multiple fronts, monitoring Hezbollah in the north, containing Hamas in Gaza, and maintaining readiness against Iran's nuclear ambitions. Opening a sustained front in Yemen could overextend the country's resources, leaving it vulnerable to retaliation. Observers note that Netanyahu's words may reverberate well beyond Yemen. Other Iranian-aligned groups will be watching closely to see whether Israel follows through on its promise of systematic decapitation strikes. If it does, the precedent could reshape the calculus of deterrence across the Middle East. Conversely, if Israel's campaign stalls or provokes disproportionate retaliation, it could embolden adversaries and strain relations with allies wary of escalation. Tonight, Netanyahu's message is unmistakable. With his declaration, "We will get every high-ranking official," the Israeli Prime Minister has placed the Houthis squarely in Israel's crosshairs, vowing a campaign of relentless pursuit. Whether this strategy will succeed in weakening the Houthis or instead ignite a broader conflagration remains to be seen. What is clear is that Israel has now made Yemen a central battleground in its confrontation with Iran's regional network, with consequences that could ripple across the entire Middle East.